The worst year for a lot of us for our mental as well as physical health. So joining us this morning is best-selling author, coach Lisa Goldenthal.
Hello and welcome. I'm Lisa G, your host. You're at the top of your game, yet the game is changing faster than ever. Strategies that got you here aren't the ones that'll keep you here. The pressure is relentless, and the fear of obsolescence looms large. That's why I'm here. Welcome to the new podcast series, Disrupted: How to Be Gritty and Unlock Performance in Business, Mindset, Wellness, and Success to help you master disruption.
Thanks for coming, and I'll see you soon.
She's a psychologist, emotional eating expert, author, host of Too Much on Her Plate podcast, and the creator of You're Missing Piece, the program that supports smart, busy women in creating freedom from overeating and peace with food. She's helped thousands break cycles with overwhelm, overload, and overeating without feeling deprived, without depending on ridiculous amounts of willpower. Her signature program helps them reduce cravings and overeating. Her approach to helping busy women, mothers, professionals, and stressed out business owners emphasizes leveraging your own unique strengths, ditching diet mentality, and using the power of psychology. Her perspective's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, CNN, Health, Weight Watchers magazine, Good Housekeeper, Working Mother, Fitness, Real Health, Real Simple. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Melissa McCreery.
Oh, thank you for having me, Lisa. Happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Absolutely. I love this topic, because I know that you primarily work with women, but I see the same thing with men too. So why don't we jump right into it? And why is losing weight such a vicious cycle?
Well, we have been taught probably from the moment we've been born to use food for so many different things, right? And we are marketed to use food for so many different things. And if you are somebody I work a lot with high performers. I work with successful women who have, too much on their plates. And when you're in that position, there are all sorts of specific triggers that make food and eating and emotional eating so attractive and so easy, right? There's so many things that we use food for that aren't a need for nutrition or that don't have to do with physical hunger. And it can be a really difficult cycle to break.
Right. I feel it. I see it all the time too. And I've been there. I get it. And it just seems like self-sabotage sometimes is part of the vicious cycle where you're like stressed and you're emotional eating and you're reaching for food and then you feel bad. So do you want to address the emotional eating overwhelm aspect that leads to this vicious cycle?
Well, what you're just talking about, I think, is so important. And I just was just teaching a workshop this morning where we were talking about this myth that I honestly believe is really the foundation of how so many smart people get stuck in this cycle with overeating. And it's perpetuated by the weight loss industry and so much of the traditional wellness industry. And it is this idea that there is a plan that you should follow. And if it's not working, if you're not getting the results that you want, it means that you're not working hard enough. And so what that means is that if you fall off track, if the plan doesn't work, if you can't stick with it, then you are supposed to wake up the next morning, beat yourself up, tell yourself things like you were too lazy or you weren't strong enough or you didn't have enough discipline. You're supposed to conjure up your willpower. So, for that time when you feel well enough to, okay, I'm going to dive in there again, and this time I'm going to hit it harder. And what it results in, because spoiler alert, these plans are missing some ingredients and they're not ever going to work for you. And so what it results in is like visualize a hamster wheel. And this lie is if you can just run fast enough, you will get somewhere. And it doesn't work. And so what I see, and I work with women, but so I will talk about women a lot, but what I see are women who are incredibly smart and who are incredibly capable, who are running faster and faster, working harder and harder, trying to do this thing, feeling defeated, feeling mad at themselves. And, guess what's a perfect recipe for reaching for something to eat? It's that kind of setup, feeling stressed and ineffective and like nothing's going to work for you.
Yeah, it's like that black and white vicious cycle that is keeping us stuck. So if I ate this cookie, I might as well eat the whole box. Or do you want to talk about some of the traditional things that are not working and what actually does? Like, you have your trends like keto and paleo and intermittent fasting and counting calories.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Not just some of that.
most of the people I work with could write a book on what to do with food. And they could write their own book about all these rules that they say, this is what I should do, and this is what would work for me. It's overwhelming. Half of the rules conflict at this point. They have learned way more than they ever wanted to about how to eat and what to eat and when to eat and what to track. But the truth is, and I'm a clinical psychologist, I've spent my whole career helping women make effective changes, particularly around food and eating. And the truth is, your power doesn't come from starting by focusing on what to eat. Your power isn't in focusing on the food. Your power comes when you get to the root of the problem. Your power comes when you start to look at, why do I want to eat? Why am I wandering into the kitchen after every Zoom call? What is going on? Why am I having these cravings at 3 o'clock every afternoon? Why do I feel so powerless with food? When you start to look at the reasons that food is calling to you, and it is not because you're not disciplined or you are not trying hard enough or you're lazy, but when you start to get clear on those and get serious about those, you can dissolve the problem. You don't have to fight with food anymore if you get to a place where the food isn't calling to you because you've taken care of the reason that you wanted to overeat, when you wanted to eat all the brownies in the first place.
So getting to the root cause is why traditional approaches aren't working, because they're
Yeah.
giving you more of a Band-Aid than getting to the root cause of why am I self-medicating with food? I mean, does this also apply to like drinking or shopping or any of the other ways that we self-medicate?
Yeah. I mean, if you just put a Band-Aid on something and if you don't deal with the reason, it is always going to come back. And that makes a lot of money for people who sell food plans. That makes a lot of money for an industry. If you always have to keep coming back and you have to sign up again, or you have to work really hard to stay in maintenance because you haven't dealt with the root cause.
Yeah.
There's a profit motive behind it, but it's so many women are selling themselves short, and it's not self-sabotage that you're selling yourself short. People haven't been told that there's a psychology behind this, and there's a way to get to, I call them your hidden hungers. There's a way to identify what your hidden hungers are so you can address those, feed yourself what you really need. And then a lot of this stuff with food starts to either take care of itself or become so much easier to address.
Well, that makes sense. And I get it. It's probably at least what, a $70 billion industry last I checked. And at the same time, nobody wants you to succeed with diets if they're making money on these meal plans. So what are the hidden hungers, and what would be a better way to eat than to self-sabotage and get stuck?
Yeah. So there are 5 hidden hungers that I see all the time. And when I start to talk about them, I just want to people who are listening, don't get overwhelmed, because the deal with these hidden hungers is they ride together and they feed on each other. And so it is not unusual at all to say, oh my gosh, I have all of them. Now I'm really in trouble. Like, what am I supposed to do? This is overwhelming me just learning about this. And for that reason, what I have done is created a quiz where you can come to my website, you can take this free quiz, and it's not going to say, danger, danger, you have all the hidden hungers. It's going to say, okay, this is your primary hidden hunger. This is the place to start to make a difference. So before I even, I can talk about the hungers, but I think it makes more sense to talk about the things that trigger the hidden hungers. Okay. And they're really common. And I'm sure that as people hear them, they're going to think, I've got a lot of these. Stress, right? Stress
Right.
triggers a hidden hunger for stress relief. Being too busy, being exhausted, either emotionally exhausted or just completely sleep deprived. Having emotions that either are unpleasant or that you don't know how to deal with, or more commonly, you've got some other hidden hungers going on. You're tired, you're stressed, you're too busy, and you know perfectly well how to deal with these emotions, but you just don't have the bandwidth to do it. And so you grab something to eat, or you numb yourself out with food and scrolling on your phone, right? Um, Avoidance is a huge reason that busy people overeat, right? Like, I don't have time to deal with this. I'm overwhelmed. I'm too tired to deal with this. I can't do it the way I want to. So I'm just going to push it off because I've got this perfectionism in the background. So, and interestingly enough, that one is a little tricky. That one sneaks up on people, and people are like, yeah, but what does that mean I'm really hungry for? I do avoidance eat. I'm a mindless eater. I eat on autopilot. I eat to numb all the time. So what am I really hungry for? And that's one of my favorite hidden hungers, because that's a hunger for self-compassion.
Oh,
That is a hunger that shows up when you are always hard on yourself, when you are deep in that myth that I talked about, that it's always your fault, that you have to do more, that you haven't worked hard enough, right? Um, it makes everything too hard. It makes everything overwhelming. And so the hidden hungers are hidden hunger for self-compassion, hidden hunger for rest. That obviously comes from exhaustion. And you see that if you show up, if you're somebody who's eating for energy all the time, or eating to perk yourself up, or sometimes at the end of the day, a lot of people have trouble with overeating at the end of the day. And they say, well, I know what I should do is this, and I know what would feel good is this, but honestly, I'm just too tired. Like, I'm too tired to do anything but like lean back with that bowl of ice cream, right?
God.
So that's a hidden hunger for rest. Um, if you are really busy and you find yourself comfort eating, or eating as a reward, eating because you deserve it, because that's the only good thing you got all day long, or you were doing for everybody else all the time, you probably have a hidden hunger for self-care and for me time, right?
Yeah.
You're not getting what you really need. You're trying to use food to take the place of it. Food is never going to do it. You can't get enough of what you don't really need. And if what you really need is rest or compassion or me time, the food is going to fill a hole for a little bit, or like I like to say, it's like a Band-Aid, but it's going to fall off. And the cravings and the triggers and the urges to binge and all that stuff are still going to be there. It's going to be a never ending, it's that hamster wheel. So
Yeah.
there's hidden hunger for rest, hunger for compassion, hunger for self-care and me time, hunger for stress relief, right? That's where stress eating shows up.
Yeah.
Um, and a hunger for emotional effectiveness. And that has to do with those emotions that are just like there, and you don't want to deal with them, or you don't know how to deal with them, or you're tired to deal with them. You just want help. All of those things play together or separately in ways that make going to get something to eat really, really attractive.
Yeah, I hear you. And I've seen this, I've been there. So now that we know what the hidden hungers are, and that perfectionism too can sometimes hold us back, or
Mhm.
that black and white thinking, do you have any final words you want to leave our audience with on how can we be unstoppable instead of making foolish choices?
Well, I think it is simpler than your brain wants to make it. Your brain always thinks you need to do something big and dramatic. I would go take the quiz. Get your primary hidden hunger, because you're also going to get resources, and this is a simple action step you can take. Um, but in the meantime, the most immediate thing you can do is just start taking some breaks in your hectic day. Take a breath and ask yourself, okay, wait a minute. What do I know right now about what I'm feeling? What do I know about what I'm needing? What do I know about what I want right now? And start to listen to that. Even if you don't know the answer, you probably don't, because you probably haven't asked the question in a really long time. Just start asking, start waking up those kind of muscles in your brain. And it'll be really amazing how that starts to shift patterns with food.
That sounds wonderful, Dr. Melissa McCreery. Where can people find more of you?
Well, it's pretty easy. Too Much on Her Plate is what to remember. So, Too Much on Her Plate is my podcast. TooMuchOnHerPlate.com is my website. That's where, if you go to toomuchonherplate.com/map, then you will get a roadmap for how to get started with the podcast, what the most powerful episodes are to get started with. It'll also direct you to how to take the quiz and how to use that in a way that's most effective. Too Much on Her Plate on Instagram and on Facebook. So pretty easy to find.
Wonderful. I will check out your website, and thanks for being a great guest.
Thanks for having me, Lisa.